welcome to this week's word. Hi, welcome to this week's word of you. Go figure. But hey guys, I'm kind of in a different setting, kind of ripping and running all day. But I wanted to get on here, and if you listen to the podcast, I wanted to be consistent and get on here and make sure I post for this week. I did not want to give myself an excuse or an out. Uh, because I have a word, God showed me something or shared with me something to share. So that means I should have no excuse, because if He gave it to me, that must mean He gave me the grace and the time to get it out there as I'm supposed to. So stay tuned. Okay. I don't know if I'm going into a single series or not. I don't know. I'm not really a big singles talker. That's my whole lifestyle, and it's something that's normal to me. But I just kind of have the approach. If you ask me about it, single living, then I can tell you about it. But I'm not a big single speaker. Um, but I got some topics that I really feel led to cover. So it's going to be probably the next couple of weeks for sure. Dealing with some singles. I'm not going to say issues. Dealing with some single topics. For those of you who may not know me and my story, the bulk of it is, or the story, my story in a nutshell, really is, from a young age, I just kind of sensed or felt, heard God, kind of tell me to wait and wait on marriage, wait on dating. I didn't understand it then. I did not get that that was Him that was talking to me. I think early on in my younger years, I did it out of insecurity, not being comfortable and confident with who I was, how I looked in comparison to someone else, my sense of humor, my sense of style, just in comparison to somebody else. So my younger years, a lot of me being single and waiting and not having a boyfriend had to do more so with the fact of personal insecurities and fear. My mother had given me instructions: no, you're not dating, period, point blank. And sorry, I got my hair in a pineapple, so it looks crazy. Just got through working out, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so out of respect, more so out of fear of getting in trouble and disappointing her, I didn't date. The one time I did talk to somebody was in high school, and I remember telling him, I can't talk to you, I can't date you, because my mama don't know, and this feels wrong for me to even, and all we did was talk on the phone. And we hung out one time at a bowling alley. That was it. No kissing, no hugging, no none of that. It was just, but that enough convicted me, because I did not want to go against my mother and what she had told me. I didn't want to disappoint her. So that was then. This is now. Now I'm single because I just want to be single, because I just don't want to settle. I don't want to be in a position where I get somebody, or God's, no, well, not God sent, because if God sent them, then He's going to be perfect for me. But don't want to get into a situation where I'm having to really fight and just unnecessary work. Listen, this is my thought process. If we're going to have to be working, we're going to have to put in a lot of effort. Marriage, I know, is the joining of two humans, imperfect human beings, in a perfect connection, trying to, maneuver around the natural stuff. But I do not want to get into a marriage and our efforts, instead of being towards the things of God and pursuing God and going out ministering and sharing the gospel, we have to stay at home and work out all these different issues that we got because we didn't settle them from the get-go, or we didn't go to the God first to get them established and even see if this was a time or if this was even the right one. That's just my personal opinion. I don't have time for that. I don't want that. That's not my desire, and that's definitely not my expectation. Yes, we're supposed to grow together, but I want us to be at a point where we're both mature, and we're not both maturing together, but we're growing together. And to me, that's a difference. You continue to grow in the things of God, but there comes a place where you are mature in the things of God, and from that you keep on growing. So why did I talk about all this? Um, Today I'm just going to talk about counterfeits. I don't know if I've talked about it before. This hair is really just. Um, it's I don't know how it looks, but I know how I see it. But anyway, we're gonna talk about counterfeits, and I was just really thinking about the whole concept of counterfeits, and I was looking at, and by counterfeit, I mean, you accepting and going with somebody who's not who God calls you to have, but they appear to be what you need, appear to be what you desire, appear to be what's necessary and needful for you at that time, because you're looking from a point of view that's not godly. It's either out of desperation, or it's out of loneliness, or it's out of bitterness because you're bitter about being single. I mean, it's rooted in something other than the things of God. So it just made me kind of think about, God began to correlate a counterfeit mate to counterfeit money. And I mean, follow me if you can, because I'm going to try to explain it how he showed it to me. But he was just showing me the process of how nowadays with counterfeit money, they no longer use big bills. They stick with 20s. They stick with the smaller bills because the smaller bills go undetected. In the busyness of life, people tend to try to use smaller counterfeit bills because they just expect that people won't take the time and really go through the process and check the money to make sure it's right. The biggest, I think I was Googling it, and the biggest dollar amount that they use is the 20. That's what they use most times as counterfeit money, because it's just, in the simple passing of days, a lot of times people just have stopped going through the process of checking to make sure that's the right amount of money. And so God just began to say that's what, single people have done. They have, in the busyness of life, they've just kind of decided that they no longer want to go through the checking process. They no longer want to go through and see, wait a minute, does this match up to what God said I should have? Or does this match up to what I even said that I desired out of a mate? And not just talking about natural, the natural, the looks, all of that'll come. My main concern is, as long as your spiritual man is there, then we got something to work with. Although I do expect my husband to be handsome. Thank you, Lord. Tall. Don't have a skin tone. Don't even have a race. But anyway, I'm just saying, that's just a whole nother side note. Anyway, so just, we don't do the process because we've gotten to a place where we're just so ready with the busyness of life that we're just willing to accept whatever somebody passes along to us as being what they say it is. And here's a fact: people lie. And more importantly, people lie to themselves. So they may think that they're a good man. They may think that they're a godly man. They may honestly think that, but they're lying to themselves. You haven't sought God, so you don't know where the deficit areas are, and are they truly as good and godly as they claim to be? And vice versa with, men dealing with women. She may honestly think she's a godly woman. But you have to be able to check to see, because she's deceived herself. You can lie for so long until you start believing your own lie. And so that's why you go through the process with the Word of God to check to make sure who they are is who they say they are. And then dealing with counterfeits again just started to show me how, again, like I said earlier, they don't really counterfeit $100 bills anymore, because that's such a big bill, people tend to be more prone to check it, compared to a 50. And they're really more prone to check 50s too. But compared to 20s and 10s and 5s, those are small bills. Hey, what's a 20? What's a 10? What's a 5? So God was just beginning to show me how the enemies come in now. He doesn't even give you something that's worthy of counterfeit. He no longer comes in with the big counterfeits, the things that are so, close to what you desire. He now comes in with stuff that's not even half of what you desire. But because you're in a spirit of desperation, and because you're in a spirit where you just really need somebody to validate who you are, that's how you feel, you're willing to accept whatever. So he didn't even have to put in a lot of work. He just brings somebody that kind of looks like something. Don't even look like God. They just look like something. So that's my thought word for the day. And the scripture that I thought about was in is in um Isaiah. I wish this would move. Um Sorry, I have my iPad again. I'm trying to pull it up. Of course, now it's. Can I help you? Yes, you can show me my verse. Oh, Siri, she's so silly. Isaiah 40 and 31, it says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." And if you really wait on God, I promise you it will be the most refreshing, as His word declares, experience that you have. You won't have to worry about going through somebody's cell phone, going through their, messages. You won't be trying to figure out, do they love you, because you already know they love you, because they were sent by God, because you waited on God. And that's male and female alike. You don't have to worry about if they'll be able to provide, because you waited on God, so you know they will. So a lot of times what happens is women are notorious for it. Men, they do it too. We want somebody to become what we're not willing to be. You want somebody rich, but you're not willing to be rich yourself. You're not willing to save money. You're not willing to go out there and create wealth as God has called you to do. You want somebody to be healthy and, in shape with muscles, but because you don't want to go out there and do the work yourself. You don't want to go out there and be in shape, but this is what you expect. And so a lot of times, and we think that because they have it, that automatically means that we'll have it. Well, not necessarily. So that's just my thought process. If you find yourself so anxious to be married, that means you're not ready. When it's time for you to when it's time for marriage, my personal belief is that God will begin to enlighten you and turn your heart towards those things in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? You will begin to think more about, okay, well, what will my husband desire? What will my mate desire? Well, how will this affect, me once I get married? You'll start thinking in the terms of we even before there's a we. And that's because God is prepping your heart. He always instructs you about the next level, whatever that level is, before you even approach it or see it. But when you find yourself, trying to go off and now you making, and I'm not talking about prepping for bride's dresses and all that. That's a natural desire. That has nothing to do with God saying, okay, it's time. If you find yourself looking at wedding dresses, that does not mean God telling you to look at wedding dresses because it's time. It just means that your mind wants to look at wedding dresses. So recognize the difference. We have to understand what's God's instruction and what is our just natural, natural attraction to do. Naturally as a woman, you want to look at bride's dresses. This hair again. You envision your wedding. You want to, go, think about all the people you invite and the colors and da-da-da-da. That's a natural, attraction too. That's something that you just are drawn to do. But that has nothing to do with God saying, okay, it's time. God will begin telling you it's time when He starts enlightening you to a greater degree of purpose. When you start thinking about what you're going to do in the things of God, and He starts dropping little hints that, oh, your husband's going to be able to take care of this. Or even just saying, somebody else will be able to take care of this. If I can get this done, God's going to send somebody else. Look, He does things in that way, because a marriage, it's intended to bless you naturally. It really is. It's intended to be a joy. It's intended to be wonderful and beautiful. But it's intended for God's purpose, and it's intended for ministry. So He's not going to A wedding dress is not ministry. I'm sorry. I don't care how beautiful it is. A wedding itself is not ministry. So if that's where you find yourself constantly going, constantly thinking, then it may mean you're not ready to be married. It just may mean your mind is a little clouded, that your thoughts have gotten a little clouded, and you need to go back and focus on the word and wait upon the Lord, because he will make your waiting worth it. I mean, plain and simple, he will. And I guess people will feel more validated once, or feel like what I'm saying is, I don't know, is true and correct. Once I come out on the back end, people don't want to listen to you until they see what you got. So they won't believe me until I come out on the back end and I'm married, and me and my husband have taken off running in purpose and running in the ministry. And then they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm telling you, get it now, because God has imparted this wisdom in me, and it's because I'm willing to just run with it. I know it gets hard sometimes. I know you want somebody to talk to, and you want somebody to just deem you the most beautifulest, wonderfulest, greatest thing that ever happened to them in your life, apart from Jesus. I know that was a phone call from my mama. I know you want that, but it's not worth it if it's not the one, because he or she may be able to sustain that mindset or that desire or that approach for you for a while. But if it's not of God, they won't be able to maintain that. I was listening to somebody, and I'm about to end, I promise. But I was listening to somebody, and they said something very powerful. It's easier to obtain than it is to maintain. And that's where we lose it. It's very simple for somebody to obtain or get your heart. It's harder for them to maintain it. So allow the right one who God sends to get in and obtain and maintain your heart, because they're the only ones who have the wisdom to do it. So I love you guys. Stay focused, stay single, stay happy, stay pursuing purpose. When you do that, you find yourself thinking less and less about a mate. And the less you think about them, the closer they probably are to you than you really even think. So, love you guys. Talk to you later. Sorry for the wild hair. It's my sideshow Bob look.
Slept on me, trying to eat with vultures. Y'all look frail, let me feed the culture. Can't get full of the lead and coke, huh? Still sober? Y'all OD, follow me. Where the rain follow me, king. Yeah, I know the king, Martin Luther King. You ain't really on the throne, boy, you in a dream.